Good morning. We're learning as a schus for Shleima Filan Chaya Baserach and for Bastian Bas Chaya. We're on Daf Tzadi Beis Amud Aleph on the top of the Amud, the second line. So we're continuing with the psukim that relate to Yaakov Avinu's fight with the Malach. This is a pasuk in Hosea, which is also describing that fight. Vayasar al Malach, he triumphed, he lorded over the Malach, Vayuchal, and he won, Bacha v'yischaneloi, and he cried and he asked him for mercy. I don't know who became the sar to who. I'm not sure why not. It says Vayasar al Malach. I guess he fought. Vayasar is a lashon of Vayasar Malach Mikrahu Betrayasar. And Vayasar would mean I think they became a sour on him. I guess they fought, so I wouldn't know who won. But the pasuk in Chumash says that you fought with Elikim, which is a lashon of a malach. That tells you that Yaakov became the lord over the malach. He won. He cried and asked for mercy, and he did me bachal me. Who asked for mercy? When the pasuk says the malach said to Yaakov, the malach said to Yaakov, he asked to send him away. That explains to us the pasuk in Hosea is saying the malach was crying to Yaakov. Right? It says about Yaakov, your name shouldn't name Uba Yaakov. Ki'im Yisrael. You should be called Yisrael. Kisarisa Melikim v'imanoshim v'tuchal. You fought both with men and with supernatural beings, and you won. Amar Rabba Ramaz Loish Asidim Shnei Sarim Lotzeis V'menu Roish Koila Shebabavo V'Nasi Sheberetz Yisrael. When it says Kisarisa Imanoshim, it means to say that Emelikim and Anoshim. That's a way of saying that there's going to be two sarim that's going to come out of Yaakov, one that's going to be in Bavel and one that's going to be in Eretz Yisrael. And Mikan Rabbas like Gullus, from the fact that we're talking already about Bavel in the Chumash, Mary says that already was supposed to be a Gullus, that Yaakov was going to have a Nasi in Gullus. The pasuk continues with the pasuk of the pasuk by Yosef and the Paro's dream. I'm not the Paro's dream. The dream of actually his Shar Maskim and Tsar Ha'if. It is the one of the Sarah Hamashkin. It says Ubegef and Shloisha Srigim. He says he saw on the vine 3 branches. Amar Chibar Abba Amarav Elu Gimel Sari Gayim Hayotzim Yisrael B'chol Davadar. This is the 3 lords that are above, the elite lords that come out of the Yidden in every dar. Sometimes it's split up 2 in Etzol and 1 in Bavel, and sometimes it's the other one way around. Yahivu Rabbanan Einayu Barabna Ukva Barabna Nechemya. Everyone looked when he said sometimes there are 2 in I guess in Bavel. They looked at Rav Ukva and Rav Nechemya Bnei Barte the Rav, who were the grandchildren of Rav. They said, "Oh, these are obviously the 2 Sari Geim, the high officers of the Rebbeinu Shalom in Bavel." Rava Amar Elu Shlosha Sari Goyim Shem Lamdim Schus Al Yisrael. These are 3 Goyim, sorry, or high officials amongst the non-Jews that help the Yidden. Rashi says Elu Gimel Sari Goyim. He says Malachim. It's talking about the Malachim, that the Malachim of the Umas Ha'olam, some of them will stand up for the Yidden. Other Rishonim say it literally means that there are always some Goyim who help the Yidden. Tanya, but from the fact that the Gemara says Shmulam Schusa, so that's why it sounds more like Malachim. Tanya, Eliezer Omer, Geffen Zeh Ha'olam, the Geffen, the grapevine is the world. And Shlosh Surigim, the three branches, Zeh Avram Yitzchak V'Yakov, that's Avram Yitzchak V'Yakov, the Avos. Vukapei Rachas also needs. So the pasuk continues, it's like a bloom that's showing a blossom. Elohi Mois, that's the Imois Sakdashim that they produce like a blossom. If Shilu Novim, the bundles of grapes ripen. Elu Ashvatim, that's the Shvatim. Amalei Bishua B'chimar and Loila Adam Ashahaya. This is by Yosef. We already had Avram Yitzchak Yaakov the Mois and the Shvatim. So it would be to show a vision of something that already happened is not typical. A nevuah or a vision is that which is going to happen in the future. Ella Geffen ze Torah. The Geffen is a reference is the Torah. Shloshishigim ele Moshe Aaron and Miriam. That's Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam. V'hikap erachas also nida like a blooming blossom. Elu Sanhedrin. This is the Sanhedrin. If Shiloh is called Anavim and the ripening grapes on the bunch, Elu Tzadikim shebachol davadar. These are tzadikim in every generation. Amar Gamliel, Adayin tzrichan anu l'moidai. We still need another pshat, that of the moidai. The mukim le'kula b'chad makom. They place it. We already object that it has to be something for the future, not from the past. He says it also needs to be in one place, not in a lot of different places. Rabbi Eliezer Amadoi Omer, Geffen Zeh Yushalayim. The vine is the Yushalayim, Shlosh Shurigim, the three branches there, Mikdash, a Melech, the Kohen Gadol. There's the Beis HaMikdash and the king and the Kohen Gadol. Bikurachza also Nitza, Elu Parche Kahuna. These are the young Kaihanim. If Shilash Gloisa Navim, Elu Nisachim, says the blossoming, the ripening grapes is the Nisachim, the Karbanis that the Yidden will bring. If Yeshua ben Levi, Mukim Laba Matanis, he says it's all talking about Matanis. The Amar Yeshua ben Levi, Geffen Zutaira. The Geffen is a Torah that's obviously the biggest Matan the Hashem gives us. Shosh Surigim, the three branches, Zebe'er, that's the well that we had in the Midbar, Be'er Miriam, the Amid Anon, and the clouds that the pillars of cloud that made the way for us, Uman and the Mon. V'ikabarachas also Nitza, Elu Habikurim, Hifshilesh Anavim, Elu Nisachim. And the last two things are the references to the Bikurim from the first fruit, and the Nisachim, the Karbanis, the animals that we'll bring. That's a reference to the matana of the produce of Eretz Yisrael that's going to be used for Bikurim and for Karbanis. So it's all matanas that the Rebbe gave to the Yid. So it's all the sequence of these pshatim is all getting more and more specific, more narrow. Because like the first question was that how can you have something from the past and the front? Then we say all like in Galus and in Eretz Yisrael gets more and more specific. Geffen Elu Yisrael. The Geffen is the Yidden. Geffen Mitzrayim Tesia. I'm going to the Geffen is going to travel out of Mitzrayim. It's a reference to Yidden. Shloisha Surigim, the three branches. Elu Shloisha Regalim Yisrael Oilum Bahen. B'chol Shana V'Shana. That's the three Aliyas L'Regel that the Yidden do every year. V'Ikarachas also Nitza Higias Man Yisrael Lifres V'Lirves. That it's all parts of the Geula. At the time had come, right? The Vayifritzu Vayirbu. Yidden started to increase. Also Nitza, also Notza, when the blossoms came up, Higias Man Yisrael Goel. That's the time when the Yidden are supposed to be Goel. V'cheinu oimer vayaz nitzcham al bigdai v'chol mabushay. The Baruch said it's a pasuk in Yeshaya that the Bershom appeared Keilu as if he was all in red, and he was asked by the Malachim, why are you all in red? He says Vayaz Nitzach is a lotion of their, I think, of their blood, it was on my begodim, agalti, and all my clothing is soiled. I mean, to say from the blood of after killing those who when he was killing the pari and being goyal and redeeming the yidden, saving the yidden. If Shiloh Eshleisa Anovim, he gives man Mitzrayim lishtes kois hasrala. It came the time for Mitzrayim to drink the kois of the Rebbeinu Shalom's anger. That's what Rava says. Shloisha kois amuris b'Mitzrayim lama. What were the three koisos mentioned in the dream of the Sar Hamashkim by Yosef? Echad shasa b'mei Moshe, one from what they had to suffer, Mitzrayim had to suffer in b'mei Moshe. Echad shasa b'mei Parai Nechai, and then later by Parai Nechai. Echad shasi delicious and kol avdei kechavim. And the final one by the Gula Hasida, when they're going to be punished together with all the other guys. Excuse me for 1 minute. I'll be back in about 30 seconds. Sorry. They should have like a little transparent window on the side of the tissue box, just like you have on your coffee urn, to show how much water there is. You can see how many tissues there are, which, when you have a cold is one thing, but in the bathroom, it's a serious problem when you run out. Okay. Amalei Rab Abba Rab Yirmei Bar Abba. Ki darish lahu Rav lahani kroi ba'agata kavasech darish lahu. When Rab Abba told Rabbi Abba that this is the way Rav would also darshan these psukim the way you had said. Amr Shimon ben Lakish, umazu kegefen nimshala. The Am Yisrael is similar to a grape. Zmayr shaba elu balibatim. The branches are the balabatim, eshkela shaba elu tamid chachamim, and the bundles of grapes. The best thing of them is the grapes themselves. That's tamid chacham. Alin shaba, the leaves, elu amei haaretz. Those are the am haaretz. Knukois shaba, and then the knukois, which we'll see, is also lashon used for very thin veins. It means anything that's very thin, and these are the ones that don't produce anything by a geffen. Elu rekanim sheb Yisrael. Those are the empty ones, the ones who don't, those who don't do mitzvahs. I guess even worse than Amei Aretz. Amei Aretz in this context means those, as we're going to see, those who do the actual work. V'hainu shochem itam liboy rachman is kalya al alya. The bundles, meaning the Talmidei Chachamim, should ask for rachmanis on the leaves, which we said is the Amei Aretz. Dil malei alya lem iskayim is kalya. Without the Amei Aretz that are doing the work and producing the food, the Talmidei Chachamim would not be able to miskayim. Ve'echrali b'chamisha aser kosaf. There's a pasuk in Hosea. The whole pasuk is ve'echrali. The Gemara is going to say it means and sell to me b'chamisha aser kosaf with 15 silver. V'chaymer sa'irim v'lesach sa'irim. The chaymer is, I think, 30, and a lesach is 15. So, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Mishum Reb Shimon ben Yotzadik, Ein kira l'lashon mechira. The lashon of echra is kira, which is a lashon of selling. Shnema bekivri asher karisili b'chamisha asher karisili, with the kever that I bought. So you see, karisi is something that you bought. So Rebbeinu Shalom is saying keilu he bought the Bnei Yisrael. But Chamisha also, how do you buy the Bnei Yisrael? But Chamisha also is that test of Benisan. That's on the first day of Pesach. Shavayit Nigalu Yisrael Mitzrayim. That's when the Yidden were redeemed from Mitzrayim. Kesef, or what's the Kesef? Elu Tzadikim. That's the Rebbeinu Shalom bought the Bnei Yisrael by being goyal them from Mitzrayim, and that was the schus of the Tzadikim. V'cheinu Oimer, Tzroyer HaKesef Lokach Biyadeh. The Tzroyer HaKesef, which is, the Rebbeinu Shalom says he took out the Tzroyer HaKesef before he destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. So that's the Tzroyer HaKesef is a reference to the tzaddikim that was saved. Chaymer Sa'irim, the Lesach Sa'irim, we said Chaymer, which I think is 30, and Lesach is 15, or vice versa. Elu Memei tzaddikim sha'olim miskayim. That's the 45 tzaddikim that are makayim the world. That's the Rebbeinu Shalom did it. He took the Yidden out of Mitzrayim for the tzaddikim, and then he says, "I bought the Yidden by redeeming them," and now the reason why I guess why the world is Mekayim is because of these 45 tzaddikim. I don't know whether, again, it's two to one. We don't know which one has two and which one has one. So they're going to take 30 kasef, which is again the shloishim of the 30 tzaddikim, and to throw it in the Beis HaMikdash to the treasurer. That's an indication, since in Beis HaMikdash in Eretz Yisrael, saying you threw 30 in the Beis HaMikdash, that means the larger amount is in Eretz Yisrael. Most of them are in the Beis HaMedrash, in the basements. They're not to be found in the big shuls, in the grand shuls. The tzaddikim are the ones sitting in their corners learning. That's what the Rebbeinu Shalom said. If it's good in your eyes, havu schari, pay my wages of him. Lo yichadav yishku schari shloshim kesef. And if not, don't. And lo yichadav. If not, you shouldn't. Vayishku schari shloshim kesef. They take a pay 30 kesef. Rabbi Yehuda Omer elu shloshim tzadikim u'sa'olam. He says a different. So we're saying that this shloshim kesef is a reference again to those 30 tzadikim in Eretz Yisrael. This is a different thing. This is talking about the 30 tzaddikim in the Umas Ha'olam. That's why the Bashal doesn't destroy them. I don't know what that means. I don't know what kind of tzaddikim we're talking about. Ula Amar Elu Shloishim Mitzvah Shekibul Aleim Neinayach Ve'em Mekayben Ela Shloishim. It seems there are 30 mitzvahs, even though we know there are Sheva mitzvahs B'nei Nayach. It seems that the Bnei Noach were Makayim on themselves 30 mitzvahs, and they're only Makayim 3 out of the 30, 1/10. What are the 3 mitzvahs that they actually do? Which, as we'll see very shortly, even those 3 they no longer do. The first one is, which is mind-blowing, that they don't do a marriage contract. They don't do legal marriages for people who are orientationally challenged, as they say. Rashi says first shot that they don't sell basar of a human. They're not Isaac in cannibalism openly, which is a strange thing to say. It's cannibalism is not a thing that's done even secretly very often. Or Rashi says another pshat that they don't sell nevelas, the behemoth that died on its own. I guess I'm not exactly sure what that means. Maybe it means that they don't trick Yidden into eating nevela. I don't think there's a problem with a guy eating a nevela. Or these are the things I guess they were makabel on themselves. And the third thing is that they are mechabed the Torah. I guess that is still somewhat a thing, to some extent, at least to a minimal level. Zok to Gemara, back to Gid Hanasha. We said back in the Mishnah, the Gid Anasha is Ein Noyig Ba'oif Mepnei She'ein Loi Kaf. The Torah says, Al Kaf Yerechai, the Gid Anasha is on Kaf Yerechai, on the rounded off part of the thigh. So we say the Gid Anasha is not Noyig by a knife since it doesn't have a rounded off part of the thigh. Practically more of a Chazina de Islay, but we see that there is a part of a thigh next to the Gid Anasha by the Eif. Islay V'le'agel. It has, but it's not rounded off, and the Torah says kaf, and it doesn't have the kaf part. What happens if there's an oif that has a rounded thigh or muscle? Or behema that doesn't happen to have a rounded thigh? Mai. Does it have a din of gid anosha? Basid deazlinen? Do you go according to the individual animal? Is the din of kaf yarach? Does that depend on the actual animal? Or do we say that ifas, since they generally don't have, they're excluded from gid anosha, whether they have one or not? And the same thing by a behema, whether it has one or not, it does have a gid anosha. Take. Okay. The Mishnah had continued. We said, and the Tanakama, which is Rameya, says, "V'noyig b'shlil." The din of the gid anosha is noyig even by a shlil. If a cow, for example, a female animal, has a full-grown baby inside of it, a full-grown fetus, and you shecht it, that shlil, Rameir says, is going to have a din of gid hanosha. Rameir also said that animal needs its own shchita. It's not part of the mother. It's not considered to be part of the mother, which would exclude it from shchita as well as excluding it from din of gid hanosha. Yehuda says no. Yehuda says it doesn't need a shchita, and also it's not going to have a din of gid hanosha. It's part of the mother. It's not considered to be an independent animal. The Mishnah continues with chelvoi mutter, and its chelev is mutter. So we're going to talk about that soon. So Amar Shmuel, the chelvoi mutter l'divrei hakol. That which we say that the chelev is mutter is going on both of them, both Rameir and Rabbi Yehuda that were arguing about the shlil. Chelvei demai. What chelev are we saying on both that they both agree on? Ilem the shlil. If you say it's the chelev of this fetus that Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda just argued about whether the gid hanosha applies to it. The same way they argue about the gid hanosha, that Reb Meir says that the animal is not part of the mother and it needs its own shchita, and therefore the gid hanosha is going to be chayiv. It's going to have a din of gid hanosha. It also will have a din that it's chaylev. It's chaylev. That's awesome. The Tanya, noyig b'shlil v'chal b'yaser. Divrei Reb Meir. Rameya says that the din of gid hanosha is noyig by a shlil, and the chaylev is also for the same reason. He says there's no gid hanosha by a shlil, and also the chaylev is mutter. This is all talking about a fully grown fetus, that it's not one that's really only an 8-month gestation, which is by a cow is known to be a nafel. But rather, it's only by a full grown. If it was not full grown, even Rameir would agree that it will be part of the mother and it won't need a shchita, and it will be the gid hanosha, and the chelev will be mutter. And they both go l'shitase, look by the chelev, just like they hold by the gid. So again, what is Shmuel saying? That they both agree about the chelev. It's talking about the chelev that's attached to the gid. And on that, we're saying everyone would agree that chelev is not considered chelev. It's considered shuman. It's considered fat. It's not the chelev that's asa, but it's not included in what the parts, the fats that are asa. In fact, that they have a separate argument about that as well. The Tanya, gid hanosha. The gid hanosha mechatet akra b'chol makom shu. You have to dig it out wherever it is. And not only do you have to take out the gid hanosha and all the veins that are attached to it, you also have to take out the shuman from its source. You have to dig out all of the shuman that is attached to the gid hanosha. So you see that he holds that shuman is chaylev, and it's awesome. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, you don't have to dig out all of the fat. you can just cut off the um, the outside of the fat. That means you level it off, um, and you could eat whatever's inside, whatever's under the surface, whatever's on the outside. You have to take off because because that is the only parts that is considered to be um, he says it's only a takana because someone who sees it, um, it's a little hard to understand why what's inside should be more mutter than what's outside. But he says it's just because people who see it, they see the fat, they see it taking off fat, and they'll think that it has the gid anosh in it. But by taking off the outside part, they understand that you're taking off, you're not eating the gid anosh. But in any case, the chaylik on the chaylev that Rameir says it's aser and Rabbi Yehuda says it's mutter, the chaylev of the gid anosh. We are talking about the Chayil Gid. Umayda Shmuel, the Rameir Midarabban Nasser. Rameir also is saying it's only awesome Midarabban. You're digging it out, but it's only Midarabban. The Tanya. V'shamnei mutav Yisrael Kedoshim Nagabu Yisr. We had this Gemara earlier. We say that the shuman, the fat on the Gid Anasha, is really mutter, but the Yidden are noyig by Yisr in order not to, people should come to think that the Gid Anasha itself is mutter. My love Rameir, the Amar mutter min atayr v'as midaran. L'chayr, this is a raya that a mayor says us it's mutter min atayr, and that's what we say that everyone's in our Mishnah. We're saying midaraisa, everyone holds this mutter. In fact, the Marvi might Dilma Rabbi Yehudi. Maybe Rabbi Yehudi is the one who's saying it's derabban because we said Rabbi Yehudi says you level it off midarabban. Avla Rameya midaraisa nami aser. Maybe Rabbi Yehuda holds Rameya holds it's aser midaraisa. So I'm going to talk about that. Tanya. Gid hanosha mechat acharav b'chol mokum shehu. The gid hanosha you have to dig it out wherever it is. V'shamlei mutter, and you have to. And the shemen, the chaylev is mutter. Man shamlei the isli chatita. In the original machlokes in Rameir Rabbi Yehuda, Rameir had said that you have to dig out the gid hanosha, and Rabbi Yehuda said it's not necessary. So you see, this is Reb Meir, and we say v'shamlei mutter. So it must mean that means the shemen is mutter midaraisa. Kamasham Amar Rav Yitzchak Bar Shmuel Bar Marta Amar Rav we also Torah Ella Kenukash Shaboy. He says that the Torah, how far does the Isser of Gid Hanasha go? He says it doesn't apply to the actual Gid Hanasha. The actual Sinu is inedible. It's a hard Sinu, and that therefore, since it's inedible, there's no Isser in the Torah to eat it. You're not eating it. There's no Achila on something that's inedible. The only part that's usher is the parts, the softer sinus and veins that go off of the Gid Hanasha, that those are actually edible. That's the part that's usher. We actually had the word kanukas before by the dream of Yosef. We said the thin branches that don't produce anything were also called kanukas. Ula disagrees with this chiddush. This is obviously a big chiddush to say that the Gid Hanasha is really mutter, the actual gid itself. Eitzu v'Torah chayv olav. He says no, it's wood, but the Torah said al ken lo yechlu b'nei Yisrael gid hanosha. That means even though it's inedible, there's an isser on it. Amar Abaya kavasa de ula mistavra. L'chayr ula is correct. Amar Rav Sheshes Amar Ravasi chutin shebechelev asur. The chutin in chelev are asur. That means chelev itself is asur. It's a lav. It's a chayiv karas. And he's saying those chutin, those edible portions of the chaylev, are also awesome. But you're not chayv on it. They're only awesome mid'erabban, not mid'erais. Alma chaylev amar achman v'loy chutin. Vaystois the chutin are not included. Achanami gid amar achman v'loy kenuka. You can't say that the whole isser, the chayra ula is right, that the isser is on the gid itself. Just like we see by chaylev, when the Torah asks the chaylev, it means the chaylev and not the thin parts that come out of it. So too by the gid, when the Torah asks the gid, it means the gid itself and not the thin parts that come out of it. Gufa, Amar Rav Sheshes Amar Ravasi, chutin shebechaylev asur, v'rein chayv aleid. The chutin and chaylev, this is what we just quoted, and this is why we're saying this. The chutin shebechaylev are asur, but you're not chayiv on them karas. They're only asur midirabban. Or maybe I'm not sure. Is it only midrabanan or midaraisa? Yeah, There's no Italim Midrabanan. Shebekuya Asurin, those in the kidneys are also Ein Chayvan Alein. The same thing, those chutin in the kulya are also, but you're not going to be Chayvan on the Midaraisa. Loivin Shebekuya, I'm sorry, what is the kulya? Yeah, I guess it's the strings that are on the kidneys. Loivin kulya, there's a deposit of fat that's within the circumference of the kidneys. Rabbi v'Reb chad asa v'chad shari. One says it's asa, one says it's mutter. Rabba memarale, Rabba would dig it out. Rabbi Yechon memarale, Rabbi Yechon would dig it out. They both agreed that it was asa. Ravasi goem le. Ravasi would eat it. I guess you would chew on it because it's fat. It's not something you could really eat. Amar Abaye Kavasa Ravasi Mistav Ravasi is right that it's mutter. Amar Baba Amar Yehuda Amar Shmuel Chelev Shabbos Chayfa Isai. The part of the chelev that the basar, the Torah says, there's a pasuk of Eshtei HaKloyes v'es HaChelev Asher Alein Asher Al Aksolim. The chelev that's on the kloyes as well as that's on the ksolim, which are the flanks. So we say the chelev that the basar covers is not that's not the chelev that's underneath the basar, but only the chelev that's on top of the basar. So so this levena of the kloyes, which is on the inside of the kloyes, that is not included. So therefore, that's why the one who said that you could eat it, Rabasi, who said you could eat it, is correct. Okay, we're going to stop over here. Let's continue on Motzei Shabbos.
Thank you so much. Have a great Shabbos.
Have a good Shabbos. Take care.